Hello, my name is Fallon Marks, and I'm going to be sharing my mealworm inquiry project. Welcome to your temporary home. Let's explore some of your likes and dislikes. So the first experiment that I did asked, will my mealworms prefer dark conditions to light conditions? My hypothesis was that I expect the mealworms to prefer darkness over light. The variables in this experiment were the independent is the light from the lamp. The dependent variable is was the mealworm's reaction to the lamp, and the constant was the location, temperature, and the light source. Procedure. So the first thing I did was I kept 10 mealworms in a separate container in the dark corner of the room, and the other 40 remained in their container, which was placed under the lamp. My findings was that the mealworms placed in the dark corner continued to slither onto the potato slices. All but 2 of the mealworms placed under the lamp remained in hiding for several hours. So my conclusion, the experiment was conclusive. My mealworms preferred to be kept in darkness rather than light. See for yourself. So these were the ones in the dark area. They just kind of continued to roam around. And these were the ones in the light. So there's one here and there's one here that came out of hiding. The rest of them, like throughout the entire few hours that I was observing them, they stayed in hiding. Okay, so the next experiment. What are their food preferences? Hypothesis. I hypothesized that my mealworms would like strawberries and carrots more than the peeled potatoes. They tend to stay on peeled potatoes most of the time. The independent was the food source, strawberries and carrots. The dependent is the mealworm preference to the new fruit. And the constant, again, was the temperature and the location. The procedure, I cut strawberries into slices. I shred the carrots. And then I placed the fruit into the mealworm container at 2 different times. I observed and recorded for a couple of days to see what I would notice about their fruit and veggie preference. The conclusion, based on the experiment, the mealworms stayed away from the strawberries and carrots. They remained on the raw potato and spinach leaves. Results were conclusive. So I have says no love for the strawberries and no love for the carrots. This is sort of what I noticed over the few days that it was in there. They didn't really tend to eat either of those. Okay, so wet versus dry hypothesis. I expect the mealworms to prefer dry areas over wet areas. The independent was the amount of water added to the oatmeal, and the dependent is the mealworm's reaction to wet area preference for a certain area. The constant was the location, temperature, and time. So I used a spray bottle to spritz one area inside the mealworm container. I placed 5 mealworms in the wet area and observed for a few hours. Conclusion, I placed 5 mealworms on the area that had been spritzed with water. Each time I went back to observe and record results, I noticed more and more mealworms had made it over to the damp area. See on the next slide. And so this is the area that I had spritzed with the water. And this was the area here that stayed dry. So over time, they just kind of gravitated toward the area that had been wet. This is one of the videos that I took. He's steadily just trying to work out of there. This guy already made it out. He says, "Hey there, is that mealworm for me?" These are a couple pictures that I took. So this is the mealworms at the larva stage. So this is kind of how they looked when I brought them home. They were a little smaller than this though whenever they first came here. This is the pupa stage. And these are my little adult beetles, or my adult mealworms. So why did the mealworm cross the road? The mealworm was trying to move away from the light, and there happened to be a road in its path. Mealworms have a photonegative response mechanism, which helps them live in dark, damp places where they will thrive. They are unaware of the danger of cars since they do not have eyes nor ears. So I basically learned that they travel by vibrations, and that's like their safety mechanism, is just feeling the vibrations and things like that. Thanks for watching.